today I wanted to talk about exercise. Does exercise help with ADHD? I have 5 different studies I've been reading, and I also have my own experience. So let's jump right into it. For my experience, every single time that I exercise, that day I feel much more focused. I feel much less brain fog, and I just feel better in my mood. My general mood, I'm happier and I'm more confident. I'm less distracted. Everything is just better when I exercise. In the long term, I do feel better as a whole when I am exercising. So that means if I have 3 days a week of exercise, the other days of the week, I also do feel better than if I was to not exercise at all. So for me, it's a net positive benefit. But what does the science say? So let's take a look at that. So the first study I looked at 2 groups of children. So there's children with ADHD who ran a 5-minute relay race. And then there was another group of children also with ADHD who did not run the race at all. And now after this race, the children would do a brain testing video game. And they found that the children with ADHD who did the 5-minute relay performed 30% better immediately following this exercise. So that's a pretty clear sign that in the very, very short term, there is evidence that exercise in the short term does help with focus. And a second study I looked at was very similar, but it was with adults. There was 2 groups. There was adults with ADHD who did 30 minutes on a stationary bike, followed by another computer testing simulation. And then the other group just watched a movie. They didn't do the exercise bike, but they did the same brain testing game. And again, they found that the adults with ADHD replicated the findings of the children who ran that race, and the adults who were on the stationary bike performed much better than the adults who watched the movie. So a third study I read was actually a meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis is just a study of a bunch of different studies. And they found that there was a moderate positive impact with exercise on executive functions and motor skills. And they also said that longer interventions seem to yield better results. So longer term exercise and also just longer periods of exercise. The other thing they found in this study was that the intensity of the exercise did not have much of an impact on the ADHD related benefits. So that's an interesting finding. It seems to me that just exercise in and of itself is good, and it's less important to go super hard than maybe just to go at kind of an average pace. Another meta study I read looked at 4 categories of non-pharmacological intervention. In other words, things that aren't medication. So there's 4 categories. There was neurofeedback, cognitive therapy, cognitive training, and physical exercise. And then they found, and this is a quote, of the 4 interventions studied, physical exercise, regardless of type, was found to be the most effective in targeting and reducing cognitive symptoms of ADHD. They also took a look at the rates of people who were doing exercise with and without medication, and they found that the benefits were pretty much the same. So the benefits were there regardless of whether or not the individuals were taking medication or not. A final study that I read, which was also another meta study, found that parents and teachers also noted these benefits as well. So it wasn't just self-reporting from the children or the adults, it was actually their teachers and their parents and others who also noticed that when the person would exercise, their ADHD symptoms seemed externally to be better as well. Now, unfortunately, there is no optimal exercise plan that they found. Because of all these different studies, it's hard to pin down exactly what is the best ADHD exercise regimen. And so this is a quote from the article. It said, "Recommendation regarding optimal frequency or duration of exercise for achieving best possible results could not be specified." And finally, they did offer a little bit more. They're kind of teasing it out, which was that anaerobic exercise, so that's cycling or running or something that makes you go out of breath and your heart's beating, seemed to be the most effective. Now again, there's all these different studies they looked at. It was very hard to compare sometimes the results between each of them, but things that make you get out of breath seem to be the most effective exercises. So people that just go to the gym and just do weight training, you should probably add some sort of cardio a couple times a week into your routine. That seems to be the conclusion they're offering. So I hope that helped, and I've actually posted this on my website. It's at adhdpro.xyz, and you can go to the blog there and you can read all these articles and see the sources that I've cited. And I hope this helped. See you later.